Claire was standing outside in the snow covered in blood when the detective showed up. While at the police station, she allegedly heard a Halloween ringtone and said, "I'm Michael Myers, my sister." 14-year-old Claire Miller is charged as an adult with homicide after police say she stabbed and killed her 19-year-old sister Helen during the early morning hours of Monday, February 22nd of 2021. The parents of Claire Miller, the Manheim Township teenager charged with stabbing her older sister to death last year, each told a Lancaster County judge on Monday that they would like their daughter to eventually return home to them. "I so don't want to lose both my daughters," Mark Miller said Monday during a hearing to determine if Claire Miller's case should remain in adult court or be moved to juvenile court. Mark Miller said he thought his daughter could contribute to society by telling the story of her struggles with mental illness. Marie Miller, who goes by Meryl, said, "I know Claire did not want to do this. We lost Helen, and I don't want to lose Claire, too." Claire Miller was 14 when she stabbed her 19-year-old sister Helen as her older sister was sleeping on February 22nd of 2021. She is now 16 and charged with a single count of homicide. In Pennsylvania, homicide is automatically treated as an adult crime, but a minor defendant can petition to have the case moved to juvenile court, which focuses on rehabilitation and includes supervision until the age of 21. Claire Miller's parents testified about their family life, spending significant time on Claire Miller's mental health struggles, which they said they had not fully understood at the time. Claire was an A student at Lancaster Country Day School and co-president of her class in 8th and 9th grade. She pushed herself hard in school, her father said, at times getting upset if she was called to dinner before being able to complete her homework. If a project was due in a month, Claire wanted it done as soon as possible, her father said. Her mother testified that Claire won a school scholarship in 2020 for best exemplifying honesty, respect, and responsibility. Once, when Meryl Miller was driving a group of kids home and they were talking about how well most did on a math test, Claire said she got a C so a person in the car wouldn't feel so bad about getting a D. Claire had actually gotten an A. Meryl Miller told Lancaster County Judge David Workman that Claire put pressure on herself to be perfect at everything, adding that she even told Claire's guidance counselor to tell her to ease up on herself. And Claire loved her sister Helen, who had cerebral palsy. Though Helen could not walk or talk, she was able to communicate by shaking her head for no and making a sound for yes, and her cognitive functions were high, Mark Miller said. He said his older daughter had a good sense of humor. Claire helped her parents move Helen and feed her when Helen was home. Meryl Miller would take Helen to a special school in Philadelphia on Mondays, and Mark Miller would bring her home on Fridays. Claire would make sure to include Helen when her friends came over. Claire told her parents she wanted Helen to move in with her when she went off to school, something that was not feasible, Mark Miller said. The whole family would put Helen to bed together and offer a prayer of thanks, ending with "Thank you for the birds that sing." Mark Miller would then tell Helen, "See you in the morning, sweetie," and kiss her goodnight. But Claire was struggling. Her parents testified that Claire was being bullied by a purported friend at school around 6th grade. It was almost as if she was in a controlling relationship, with the student telling Claire she wasn't able to have other friends and criticizing her clothing, they testified. That ended when the student left Country Day. And around the age of 13, Claire began struggling with her gender identity. She told her father she felt she was meant to be a boy, he recounted. Claire also began cutting herself. Her mother talked to her pediatrician and the school about it, and they went to a counselor several times, but Merrill Miller said the counselor told them Claire was doing better than most other clients. Merrill said she figured it was something girls nowadays were doing and she did not want to overreact. And then the pandemic came, shutting down the option for other counseling. Claire was also having auditory and visual hallucinations, but neither parent realized at the time how severe. Once Mark Miller thought he heard Claire talking in her bedroom on the phone late at night. He told her to get off the phone. She replied she wasn't on the phone. Another time he heard her talking in the house, but no one was there. He asked her what was going on. Nothing, she replied, adding she was on the phone, but the phone was on the kitchen counter. According to a psychiatrist who evaluated Claire for the defense and who also testified Monday, Claire told her there was a boy me and a girl me that were separate from herself and just not her thoughts. The female voice told Claire she was no good. It told her to drink her own blood and hurt herself, Dr. Susan Rushing testified. The male voice was kind. Both voices argued. Sometime after midnight on February 22nd of 2021, after the rest of the family had gone to bed, the female voice told Claire to kill herself, Rushing recounted. Claire got a knife from the kitchen and tried to cut herself on the neck. Claire then began stabbing at the evil hallucination, Rushing said. In her mind, she's believing she's stabbing this woman, defense attorney Robert Baer asked. Yes, Rushing replied. Rushing testified that in her assessment, Claire was in psychosis when she stabbed her sister. She thought she was stabbing the figure. When she had the sensation of blood on her, that's what snapped her out of it. Claire then called 911 to report she stabbed her sister, and police responded. Rushing and another psychiatrist, Dr. Anelia Kahn, both testified that they diagnosed Claire as having major depressive disorder, anxiety, and an active psychosis at the time of the killing, and that the illnesses were brought about by a major trauma she had been enduring. Gender dysphoria, the bullying, a friend's attempted suicide, and the isolation brought on by the pandemic. Rushing and Kahn both testified that Claire had been responding to treatment and her hallucinations are much better. Both gave her a good prognosis. But on cross-examination by Assistant District Attorney Amy Miller, they said they could not say for certain what would happen in the future. Workman asked Rushing why Claire being in psychosis made the case different from another juvenile defendant seeking a transfer. Rushing said because parts of the brain are not fully developed yet. Testimony from additional defense witnesses is expected to continue Tuesday, including from Country Day staff and someone from the county's juvenile probation department. Then the prosecution is expected to put on its mental health experts. Prosecutors called witnesses as they tried to prove to the court that Claire Miller should be tried as an adult in the 2021 fatal stabbing of her 19-year-old sister, Helen. Police testified that when they arrived at the home, they found Claire Miller standing barefoot in the snow, bloodied and crying. They said she admitted she had stabbed her sister. Manheim Township Police Detective Jonathan Martin told the court that Miller was in a holding area of the police station when she heard a ringtone with the theme song from Halloween and said, "I'm Michael Myers, my sister." When officers brought Miller breakfast, she allegedly said, "I would have killed someone sooner if I knew I could get McDonald's." Police said Miller admitted to stabbing her sister, who had cerebral palsy, while she slept in their Manheim Township home. Dr. Wayne Ross with the coroner's office testified that Helen Miller was stabbed 7 times, twice in the chest, twice in the jaw, and 3 times in the neck. Police said they found a knife in her neck when they arrived at the home. A psychiatrist testified Claire Miller was not a reliable source when it came to determining whether she suffered from psychosis and hallucinations. That was the diagnosis from 2 defense witnesses. The psychiatrist said Miller heard voices the night she is accused of killing her sister, and the hallucinations led her to try to stab a female voice that was taunting her. Both sides argued over whether Miller could be rehabilitated through psychiatric treatment. Prosecutors and attorneys for Claire Miller delivered closing arguments Wednesday afternoon, following 2.5 days of testimony. The defense summed up why Miller, now 16, should be tried as a juvenile, while the prosecution said Miller wanted to commit murder for months and should spend time in prison. Assistant District Attorney Amy Mueller told the judge Miller was a kid who had it all but was obsessed with homicide. Mueller cited thousands of text messages Miller sent a friend expressing a desire to harm someone. Mueller said Miller loved her sister Helen, but she was an easy target. She couldn't fight back. Helen Miller had cerebral palsy. Defense attorney Bob Bayer countered that Claire Miller suffered a psychotic first break and didn't mean to harm the sister she loved. Even our best and brightest children have demons. We need to deal with them, Bayer said. On Monday, Miller's parents testified that they had lost one daughter and don't want to lose their other daughter to prison. Doctors called to the stand testified Miller could be rehabilitated, but prosecutors argued she would be a danger to society if she's released from the juvenile rehabilitation system in 5 years. Judge David Workman is expected to announce his decision on July 18th. So what do y'all think? Do y'all think she should be tried as an adult or tried as a juvenile? There's some things that stick out to me. Her comment in the holding area when they brought her breakfast, she said, "I'd killed someone sooner had I known I would get McDonald's." And the prosecution said that she had sent thousands of text messages to her friends saying that she wanted to harm someone. So let me know in the comments section below what y'all think about this or what your opinion is. And I will follow up on this when the judge makes his decision on July the 18th. Y'all have a good day.